Ayun, sorry everyone. So good evening, fellow members of the chapter of the Philippines, of the PMI Philippines chapter. Um, the following shall be observed during the online annual general membership meeting of the chapter. Number one, we will be approving 4 items in this year's annual general membership meeting. If the live polling will be necessary, the votes of the valid proxies will be added to the results of the live polling. Number two, there will be Q&A at the end. You can send your questions during the meeting by sending a direct chat message to Joel Carvajal or Mark Gorospe. He will read your questions later during the Q&A portion of our meeting. We encourage the full cooperation of our members to make this general membership online meeting a success. Back to you, Mr. President.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Corporate Secretary. Before we proceed, I would like to acknowledge the other members of the chapter's Board of Trustees and Officers, starting with, of course, Mr. Mark Gorospe. He's the Vice President and Director for Membership. Mr. Joel Carvajal, who's our Treasurer. Of course, Mr. Alan Gosiang Tiao, who's our Corporate Secretary and Director for Programs. Mr. Reginald Neri, who's our Auditor. Mr. Lucito Chito Torres, who's our Past President and Director for Professional Development. Mr. Michael Manlangit, who's our Director for Branch Development. Mr. Patrick Ferrer, who's the Director for External Relations. And Mr. Emilio Tumbocon, who's also a Director for External Relations. Thank you, members of the Board of Trustees, for attending the meeting. I would like to acknowledge the presence as well of Siti Rosianti. I think she's with us tonight, and she actually represents the PMI Regional Office. Now, I would like to call the meeting to order. Corporate Secretary, do we have a quorum?
Yes, Mr. President, out of the 924 voting members in good standing as of June 3, 2024, we have a quorum. We require a quorum of 93. And how many people do we have today? It's 136 plus 57. Bago lang math ko. 193. So we do have quorum.
Okay.
So based on our amended bylaws, the quorum needed is 10% of the voting members in good standing. Hence, Mr. President, we have a quorum.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Corporate Secretary. There being a quorum, we will proceed with the meeting. Mr. Corporate Secretary, do we have proof of due notice for the meeting?
Yes, Mr. President. On screen is the notice sent to each of the members through the registered email accounts last April 11, 2024. Reminder emails were sent last May 8, May 27, and June 4.
Okay, well, thank you, Mr. Corporate Secretary. On the next agenda of our meeting, the approval of minutes of the annual meeting held July 25, 2023. So the copy of the minutes was made available to all members through email sent to registered email accounts last May 27, 2024. The minutes of the last AGMM are also available at the chapter office. And it's being shown right now. So any move to approve?
Mr. President, I am Elmo Alforte. I move that the minutes of the annual general membership meeting held last July 25, 2023 be approved.
A motion has been made to approve the minutes of the meeting held last July 25, 2023. Is there a second to the motion?
Mr. President, I am Michelle Araneta. I second the motion.
It has been moved and seconded that the minutes of the annual general membership meeting held last July 25, 2023 be approved. Are there any objections? Okay, so there being none, the motion is carried. So the next agenda is the President's report. Okay. So, well, firstly, on behalf of the Board of Trustees, I'd like to thank the chapter personnel, the chapter volunteers, and all the chapter members for another good year or past 11 months. We had a noteworthy year amid some of the challenges that we were faced with, not just as an organization, but as a country as well. But without a doubt, our accomplishments as a chapter would not be possible without your individual and collective contributions, particularly the volunteers who share their time, talent, and energy to the chapter's undertakings. Tonight, I will mainly share with you what we as a chapter had accomplished from July 2023 to May of this year. I'll then talk about how we move forward at the latter part. So let me start with the key headlines. Next slide, please. The first key headline is on membership. I'm very pleased to inform you that there has been a steady increase in our chapter members since beginning of 2022. This actually indicates that we're over the hump on the pandemic impact as far as membership is concerned. If we continue with the current trajectory, the 1,000 members hurdle will be within reach this year. Second, just like the previous years, we continue to build a strong community of chapter members or project management practitioners. And of course, this is through chapter engagements and member volunteering opportunities. Thirdly, as with prior years, we continued to raise the level of project management competence, not just of the chapter members, but the bigger community of project management practitioners as well. And this is through the trainings our chapter conducted and through the knowledge sharing sessions. The fourth headline talks about our major accomplishment the past 11 months, which we should be proud about. In fact, it's a crowning glory of our chapter. And this is the formal recognition of the Cebu chapter, or branch rather, by PMI region, which actually just happened last month. And I'm going to talk about that later on. And last but not the least is the outcome of the strategic planning that your Board of Trustees did in April, which from my perspective clearly articulates our reason for existence. Next slide, please. Now for some details. On membership, chapter members have been increasing at an average of 17.5% year on year for the past 2 years, compared to a decline in 2020 and also compared to a relatively low 5% increment in 2021. It looks like that, as I mentioned earlier, the impact of the pandemic to membership has now been significantly diminished, although it's still there, but it's significantly diminished. Main contributor is a steady increase in membership in maintaining retention at a high rate. We're averaging 70% retention rate for the past 3 years. And in fact, this is better than the overall retention rate in Region 15. Now, as of Monday, June 3, if I'm not mistaken, our total chapter members is at 927. So we're just 73 members away from reaching the 1,000 chapter members hurdle. We are getting there, slowly but surely. Next slide, please. So from my perspective, one reason for the high retention rate is the satisfaction of our chapter members and membership. Based on the 2023 member survey, 87% of the respondents indicated that they are satisfied with their chapter membership. 71% of the respondents viewed the value of the chapter membership as excellent or very good. And a high 82% said that they are very to extremely likely to renew their membership with our chapter. Of course, it is our hope that this survey results resonate with most, if not all of you. And if they do not resonate, then we do encourage you to respond to surveys in the future so that your voice actually gets heard. Next slide, please. Member engagement is surely one of the factors impacting member satisfaction. And there are a couple of member engagements sponsored by the chapter for the past 11 months. And the major ones are the PM Happy Hour, which we had in September last year at Las Flores and led by, of course, the Director of Membership, that's Mr. Mark Gorospe. And it was attended by 24 members. Then we have the annual fellowship night. It was dubbed as OPM. It's another member engagement opportunity, and it was participated by about 40 members, and that was in November last year. This and the other volunteering efforts or opportunities provided the avenues for members to network and meet like-minded colleagues who share the same passion, not just for project management, but for other interests as well. Next slide, please. Last year also saw the continued PM competence building effort of the chapter via knowledge sharing session or KSS. And of course, the biggest PM event in the country, which is our National Symposium on Project Management or NSPM. There were actually 2 knowledge sharing sessions conducted last year, with one of them held in Cebu in September with 70 attendees, and it was even done face-to-face. The National Symposium last year, on the other hand, had about 600 attendees for both on-site and virtual participants. This was the first time since 2019 that we had a symposium in person. So kudos to the committee who organized this event, which was actually co-chaired by Pinky Luna and Jomel Macabagdal, and of course led by our trustee and director for programs, Alan Gosengpiao. Thank you so much for your relentless volunteering effort. As we all know, it is really not easy to organize this size of an event. So thanks a lot to you guys. Next slide, please. On the professional development front, our chapter conducted 26 PM-related courses, which were attended by a total of 605 aspiring and experienced project managers. So just imagine 605 brave souls embracing the project management discipline and avoiding to be accidental project managers. Music to my ears. But to top it all, our chapter's trainings courses consistently received high participant satisfaction ratings, which were at a whooping average of 4.84 from a scale of 1 to 5. So well done to our team handling professional development, which includes our chapter secretariat. Of course, Joel Carvajal, who is the director for professional development last year, and most especially our instructors. Thanks to you, our instructors, for the consistent, high-quality delivery of our chapter's training courses. Next slide, please. Since our chapter is part of a bigger institution, we have to have our presence felt outside our country. We got the Philippines chapter represented in both the Asia Pacific and Region 15 leaders meeting last year. And of course, after 10 years of our last hosting of a PMI regional meeting, we have recently successfully hosted the PMI Region 15 leadership meeting in Cebu, no else. And our Cebu branch members showcased what Filipino hospitality really means and gave the Region 15 leaders a delightful experience that will be difficult to surpass by future hosts. We're really beaming with pride with what our Cebu branch organizing committee or team had done. Daghang salamat sa inyong tanan. Next slide, please. So the long and arduous journey of formally setting up our chapter Cebu branch finally got to fruition. In the same regional meeting held in Cebu, our Cebu branch was formally recognized. This is a monumental milestone, as this was more than 2 years in the making. Commendation goes to Mike Manlangit, who actually heads the Cebu branch, and the Cebu branch core team composed of Dino Faustino, Carla Barbadillo, Ruel Bael, Romulo Nang, and Romy Buendia. The Cebu branch, which was the brainchild of Mr. Patrick Ferrer, who is one of our trustees, aims to improve chapter service or services to chapter members in the Visayas and Mindanao regions, and ultimately grow the chapter membership in these areas. Next slide, please. So, after hearing our chapter's highlights for the past 11 months, the question now is, where do we go from here? I'm actually excited to inform you that we, your Board of Trustees, had our strategic planning exercise last March. And it is with the intent of clarifying the chapter's reason for being, as well as articulating the chapter's path moving forward. We had Hyper Island facilitating it for us, and for which they used the strategize like a futurist approach. And you're going to hear more about this approach in the knowledge sharing session later on after this AGMM. Meanwhile, please allow me to share with you the outcome. Next slide, please. Our chapter's purpose, and I'm going to read it verbatim, is to advocate project management competency to drive success in life and career. This is largely premised on the fact that we recognize project management as a life skill, a skill that does not only apply to work, but in effectively running your personal life as well. This is also based on the advocacy of breaking the project management divide between industries and sectors benefiting from the discipline of project management and those who have not been exposed to it. The aspiration is to make project management as a pervasive skill across all sectors and industries. Our chapter values, on the other hand, are the same as those listed in PMI Code of Ethics and Professional Conduct. And I believe they are kind of self-explanatory. So in the interest of time, I won't go through each one of them. Lastly, of course, but not the least, our end goal in 3 years is really to create meaningful value, not just to the chapter members, but to the bigger project management community in the country as well. That's value in both career and personal life. Again, still premise on the fact that project management is a life skill. So how do we achieve this goal? And this is how. Our chapter strategy house, which is anchored on the purpose and values, and with a goal as a North Star. During the strategic planning, we identified actually 8 OKRs, or objective key results, which were later synthesized with these 4 strategic pillars. The first pillar is about scaling up our chapter marketing. We still have gaps in getting the larger community to be aware of PMI and much more chapters' existence. We need to do some catching up in this space. Second pillar is about the creation of more meaningful vehicles for volunteering efforts. Our tactical action here is to create the executive committees, which we'll be discussing later on. The third pillar is about the deep understanding of our member and volunteer personas. Our member demographics had changed throughout the years, and we believe that it's about time that we spend intentional effort to fully understand the member profiles, one of which is understanding your personal passions. Fourth but not the least is a pillar to make the chapter recent and relevant, and this is keeping our ears on the ground on new technologies that we may not be able to adopt in our professional development program. Next slide, please. There you go. So we all know that the operationalization of our strategy house and consequently the realization of our goal will not happen by chance. There has to be an intentional effort and structure to make things happen. It is for this reason that we are launching today the formation of executive committees for the 6 functional areas of our chapter. We will have an executive committee for membership and marketing, digital transformation, which I know the IT folks in our chapter are passionate about, external relations, professional development, if your passion is in raising competence levels of PMs, Programs and Events, and Academ, which is about spreading the PM good news to the future workforce of our country, the students. The executive committees will be limited to 5 members composed of a trustee, the appointed executive committee head, and 3 executive committee members. The executive committees will be charting their own path, but taking into consideration the chapter's purpose, goal and strategies. The executive committees can propose budget for their programs, but for good governance, it will go to the Board of Trustees for approval. Each executive committee, however, will be allocated fixed budget for their meetings. So we are now opening applications for the different executive committee positions. If you're interested to be part of these groups that will lead the path to chapter success, you can actually email May Ravida or Ravida, whose email address is at the bottom of the slide. Please take note of that. Next slide, please. There we go. So just a gentle concluding reminder. Our chapter is an institution of the members, by the members, and for the members. So it's centered on the members. Our chapter exists because of you, the members. So let me close with an appeal or call for action from you, our beloved chapter members. If you want our chapter to move from good to great, we have to do our own part as members. The chapter is only as strong as its members. Our greatness as a chapter highly hinges on the time, effort, and talent that the members put into it. Unfortunately, only 2% of our members had contributed their time, talent, and energy to the chapter programs last year, or even less than that. And honestly, this is appallingly low compared to the other chapters in the region. So, I pose this challenge to you, our beloved chapter members. If each chapter just contribute 2 hours per month on the average, just imagine 2 hours per month on the average to execute the chapter programs. And mind you, this is much less than probably the hours that I reckon most of you spend binging on Netflix K-dramas. That's an equivalent, the 2 hours per month is an equivalent from each one of you of 10 Mondays, months rather, or 10 FTEs per month working on the chapter programs. I believe that the 10 FTEs are more than enough to bring us where we are, from where we are right now, which is already a better place, in fact. But, we want to go to a greater place. A place where a chapter can help the underserved community and sectors of our country with the purpose of breaking the project management divide between the haves and the have-nots. I sincerely believe, you're going to be one with me driving the advocacy that the benefits or value of project management should be enjoyed by everyone, not just by certain sectors. It's time to give back. So please, get involved and participate. Start contributing your time, talent, and energy to the Philippines chapter. Join us in this advocacy so that we can make great things together, not just for ourselves, but for the country. Because we are the Philippines chapter. Mabuhay tayong lahat. Okay. So, I guess we're gonna go to the next one. I'm getting emotional about it, but let me move on. So the next agenda is the ratification of the acts and proceedings of the Board of Trustees, officers, and management of the chapter from August 2023 to May 2024. So copy of the list of the board resolutions was made. A copy, rather, of the list of board resolutions was made available to all members through emails sent to the members' registered email accounts last May 27, 2024. Any move to approve? Who's going to move to approve? We can't hear Romulo though. Yeah, can someone substitute to Romulo who we can't hear?
Mr. President, I am Bon Dicilio. I move that the acts and proceedings of the Board of Trustees, officers, and management of the chapter from August 2023 to May 2024 be approved.
A motion has been made to approve the acts and proceedings of the Board of Trustees, officers, and management of the chapter from August 2023 to May 2024. Is there a second to the motion?
Yes, Mr. President, this is Pinky Luna. I second the motion.
Okay, well, thanks a lot, Pinky. It
I
has been
think
moved
my
and seconded that the act.
connection is done. Can you hear
Yeah,
me?
we can. Yeah, we heard you, Pinky. Thanks a lot. Okay, so it has been moved and seconded that the acts and proceedings of the Board of Trustees, officers, and management of the chapter from August 2023 to May 2024 be approved. Are there any objections? Excuse me. Since there's none, the motion is carried. Sorry. Okay, so the next agenda is a presentation and approval of the audited financial statements as of 31 December 2023. May we ask our chapter treasurer, Mr. Joel Carvajal, to present the audited financial statements. Joel.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me? For the love
Oh,
of PM, mabuhay. I, Joel Carvajal, Treasurer, will be presenting the 2023 financial statements to the general membership. These financial statements have undergone a thorough audit and validation by our independent external auditor, Diaz Murillo Dalupan, DMD and Company. We have already shared a copy of these financial statements with the general membership, but please allow me to highlight some key points. Starting with this slide, our total assets increased from 39 million in 2022 to 41.4 in 2023, marking a 6.2% growth. This increase is primarily attributed to the rise in our fund balance, resulting from the 2.7 million pesos surplus of receipts over expenses shown in the next slide. There was also a decrease in our liabilities from 1 million in 2022 to 700,000 pesos in 2023. Moving on to the next slide. We observe a slight increase in our gross receipts from 12.7 million pesos in 2022 to 13.6 million in 2023, representing around 7.1% growth. This increase can be attributed to more face-to-face trainings and compared to previous years. Additionally, the increased number of chapter members led to higher chapter dues. Our operating expenses, however, increased from 2.5 million in 2022 to 3.7 million pesos in 2023 as we reinforced our operations with additional manpower to improve our services and ensure continuity of operations. Overall, these factors contributed to the chapter generating excess of receipts over expenses, as mentioned previously, of around 2.7 million pesos, which is lower compared to 3.8 million in 2022. Mr. President, that concludes my report on the audited financial statements of the chapter as of December 31, 2023.
Thank you, Mr. Joel Carvajal. Any motion to approve?
Mr. President, I am Dean Ashton Flamenco. I move that the audited financial statement of the chapter ending December 31, 2023 be approved.
A motion has been made to approve the audited financial statement of the chapter as ending December 31, 2023. Is there a second to the motion?
Mr. President, I am chapter member John Alindogan and I second the motion.
It has been approved. It has been moved and seconded that the audited financial statement of the chapter as ending December 31, 2023 be approved. Are there any objections? Since there is none, the motion is carried. Okay, so the next agenda item is the appointment of PMI Philippine Chapter's external auditor. I think it's Joel who's going to talk about that. You're on mute, Joel.
Yes, that's right, Mr. President. So in behalf of Mr. Regineri, I'll note that during its regular meeting last May 18, 2023, the Board of Trustees approved the recommendation for the appointment of Diaz Murillo Dalupan and Company as the chapter's external auditor for the year 2024.
Any motion to approve?
Mr. President, I am Benj Malinit. I move that the appointment of Diaz Murillo Dalupan and Company as the chapter's external auditor for the year 2024 be approved.
A motion has been made to approve the appointment of Diaz Murillo Dalupan and Company as external auditors of the chapter for 2024. Is there a second to the motion?
Mr. President, I am
President.
Lang. I second the motion.
Okay, that's been moved and seconded that appointment of Diaz Murillo Dalupan and Company as external auditors of the chapter for year 2024 be approved. Are there any objections?
Which one? 400, 450, 470.
Yeah, can we? Okay, since there is none, the motion is carried. Okay, so we're gonna get into the motion is carried. So let's go to the next topic, which is the announcement. Yes, there you go. So the next agenda item is the announcement of the results of the elections for the members of the Board of Trustees for the new terms as per transitory provisions of the amended bylaws with term of office starting January 1, 2025. May we ask the chairperson of our Nominations and Elections Committee, Ms. Casey Pantaleon, to present the results of elections. Casey?
Thank you, Mr. President, and good evening to my fellow members of the PMI Philippines chapter. So following the election of 9 members last year, this year, next slide me, sorry. Thank you. And so following the election of 9 members last year, this year, our chapter will elect 3 trustees for a 3-year term. So in accordance with Section 9, Article 3 of our amended bylaws, amended on September 23, 2021, 3 members of the board will be elected to serve for a term of 3 years. So to provide some background on our election process, members had the privilege to nominate up to 3 candidates from April 12 to April 26 with an extension until May 2. 10 members submitted nomination forms, resulting in 16 distinct nominees. After conducting a validation process, 2 nominees were disqualified as they did not meet the set qualifications, and 8 declined their nominations. Thus, 6 nominees confirmed as official candidates for the election. We conducted the online voting via the VoteNet platform provided by PMI Global from May 10 to May 2024. May 24, 2024. Next slide, please. The as of April 30, we had 920 active members. Sige, yan. And of this, 172 members voted through VoteNet. We have received 143 valid proxy votes from the members, and among these, 30 members also voted through VoteNet, so reducing the number of valid proxies to 113. So combining this, out of the 920 members, 285 members or 30.98% participated in the election through VoteNet or proxy voting. So compared to the previous election, the participation rate this year is lower than the 36.46 rate in 2023. Okay, next. Presenting the results of the election. So based on votes from both VoteNet and proxy votes, the candidates presented are in alphabetical order by surname as they also appear in the ballot. So Michelle Gorospe gathered 82 votes. Jomel Macabagdal got 194 votes. Michael Lazarus Manlangit got 188 votes. Ramon Navarro III got 185 votes. Agustina Rodriguez gathered 72 votes, and Josephine Turner got 77 votes. So ladies and gentlemen, next slide, please. Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, members of the PMI Philippines chapter, it is my honor to present to you the members of the 2025 Board of Trustees, Jomel Macabagdal, Michael Lazarus Manlangit, and Ramon Navarro III. So they will serve for 3 years from January 2025 to December 2027. So to the new boards of the member, congratulations and good luck. Make PMI Philippines proud. Mr. President, that is our report on the results of the elections for the members of the Board of Trustees starting 2025. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, Casey. You and the NOMELEC members have worked extremely hard for this. So thanks a lot to you and the members of the NOMELEC. So congratulations. Let's give our newly elected board members a virtual round of applause. And we encourage everyone to please provide your full support to the remaining ones and the new ones starting next year. Of course, we would like to thank the members of our NOMELEC or Nominations and Elections Committee. And they are, you've heard Casey Pantaleon, who is a NOMELEC chairperson, Solomon Anastasio, Sol Anastasio, as we call him, Serge Tan, Heidi Mia Bustillos, Bono Desilio, and Albert Santos. Thank you. Thank you so much for your service and dedication to the chapter. Now, there are actually 2 outgoing Board of Trustees, and we'd like to thank them from the bottom of our hearts. They've worked really hard for the chapter, at least for the past 3 years, I believe, or so. And they are Alan Gosengtiao and, of course, Mr. Joel Carbajal. So we wish them well in their future endeavors. But thanks a lot for serving the chapter as Board of Trustees. Well, their term will be until the end of the year anyway. So they'll still be with us for the next 6 months. But thanks a lot. Okay. So we're going to go through other matters, and we will now proceed with the last item in our agenda. And we will now open the floor to discuss other relevant chapter matters, including the questions that you've actually sent through chat, if there's any. And in the interest of time, our Mark Gorospe will read the questions sent through chat facility of Zoom. If there are questions that will not be answered tonight, we'll answer them through email. So, Mr. Gorospe, are there questions from our members?
No question yet, but let's give them time. And before I start reading the question, I would like to remind everyone that each member shall be only allowed 1 question to give chance to others during the question and answer portion. You may post your question on the chat box again, like what Mr. President mentioned. Then I'll read it. All right, let's wait for the first question.
The sound of silence.
There are more congratulations. Oh, here you go. From Enrique J.R. Corella. Are there any remote volunteer opportunities from PMIPH, as there are many members offshore?
Oh, that's a very good question. So, the other BOT members can chime in, but yes, definitely. I mean, we operate in the virtual world now. I think you know what happened, and we've proven that during the pandemic anyway. So there are opportunities for for remote volunteering, and in fact, as I mentioned earlier, if each one of us if each one of you, well, BOT members, we contribute more than 2 hours per month. But if each one of you just contribute 2 hours per month, that's a challenge I'm going to put forward, on the table. We'll make wonders as a chapter. So yeah, even for virtual members, you can actually help us and participate in the chapter undertakings or activities. Anyone from the BOT members who want to chime in?
Yes, good evening, Charlie. This is Chito Torres. So, I'm gladly welcome any volunteers for professional development. Even being remote, you can offer your volunteer time to develop courses and also for mentoring future PMPs. So our plans is to develop a pool of trainers and also mentors. So that's one area for volunteering. So just get in touch again with May or Mark. We're centralizing volunteers through our membership, and then we will include you also. Let us know how you can help, especially in professional development. You are good in training, good in any specific areas, feel free to do that.
Thanks a lot, Chito. So that's absolutely right. I mean, remember my challenge earlier? If each one of us can just spend, or BOT members spend more than 2 hours, of course. But just imagine the great work that we're going to do. It can be in person or virtual.
Okay. We see additional questions from Maria Antoinette Del Sol. How to express our interest to volunteer?
Excellent point. You can actually email any of the board of trustees. You can email May Ravida. Remember the challenge I posed earlier, especially in the executive committees. You can actually apply for one of the executive committee roles. There are quite a number of roles available there. So it's not just sheer volunteering, but being an active member of the executive committees. There are about 8 executive committees, by the way, if I'm not mistaken. So lots of opportunities to make a difference in the Philippines chapter. So just email any of the board of trustees and also May. So, just signify your interest to not just volunteer, but be an active member of the executive committee. Anyone from the board of trustees would like to chime in?
Well, there is the volunteer platform, Charlie. So
Yeah.
I think this year will be more, as a chapter, will be more disciplined in posting all our volunteer opportunities on that platform. So please keep on looking at volunteers.pmi.org.
Yeah, and since Alan has spoken, we're going to have, we're planning for the NSPF. So it is one of their opportunities to volunteer. Yeah.
Okay. We have question from Elisha B. Hello, I'm new to all this. I only attended the meeting because I got the email, but how do I get more involved? I also want a shirt.
You should be attending one of the symposia okay, to get a shirt. But yeah, I mean, just email any one of us in the Philippines chapter. Lots of opportunities to volunteer. We need more volunteers. Either you want to be part of the EXCO or executive committee as an active member, or you want to volunteer on activities like NSPM, which is one of our major events, by the way. So just signify your interest, and we'll get in touch with you. Oh, there you go. So he emailed May already. Nice. That's a good one.
Okay. We have a question from Enrico J. R. Corella. Is PMIPH open for collaborative events with other professional orgs?
Oh, music to my ears, alliances. That's what we need. I'm not quite sure if we started doing that formally, but yeah, that's how we strengthen the organization. We collaborate with other associations. Any DOT would like to chime in?
Charlie, the Philconstruct, right? We are actually actively working with Philconstruct.
Yeah, and speaking of that, we'll be in the Philconstruct Cebu event, which I think is happening, if I'm not mistaken. Is it in July or this month? Late this month?
June 21.
June 2021.
Okay, so this month. So watch out, Cebuanas. The Philippine chapter will be there. Approach Mike Manlangit, who's organizing it for us. If you want to be involved there, if you're from Cebu, particularly.
Okay. We have another question from Lord Tyrone Agaton. Sir, when will the Philippine chapter website be more active with forums, interactive online sharing, and similar venue for sharing? Thank you.
So is that going to be answered by Alan or?
I can. Well, first one, I can answer. Yes, we are more active in social media and Viber. So we do have a Viber group for Philippine PMI Philippine chapter. I'll be able to share the link here after this Q&A. And we are also active in Facebook and LinkedIn. So, but yeah, once we have more volunteers, definitely PMI website will be PMI Philippine chapter website will be more active.
Right. To build on what Mark said and what was also mentioned earlier, we do have that Execom, one of which will be the digital transformation. We need volunteers. We need your help. Right now, that website has been created by volunteers, so we need more volunteers to really make that website relevant, active, and useful for everyone, right? So.
Yeah, so the chapter is as strong as its members, especially when it comes to volunteering, okay? So we need more volunteers. We need more people helping out the chapter. We've actually rehashed our website. So if your passion is about web design, then please do get in touch with with Mark, so you can actually help out. So this is your chapter. This is your chapter. So to make it great depends on the time and effort that we put in.
Okay, one more question for the interest of time from Bench Malinit. Follow-up question, what could be the root causes we have very low volunteer hours or from the members? Maybe we can do something to address the opportunity, more campaigns, etc.
Anyone from the Board of Trustees who want to answer? Bench, by the way, hi. We know Bench very much, of course. Thanks for your question. And anyone from the Board of Trustees who want to answer that?
I nominate the Director of Membership to answer the question.
Well, each member, they have their own interests. So it's more on what interests that we should be able to align them. Some they have interests in tech or digital transformations. We do have members for marketing and membership. So I think it's more on the campaigns and what type of volunteer opportunities that we have that can match what our members are looking for. That's why one of our key pillars is to understand the persona of our members so that we can develop the right opportunity for them to volunteer.
Okay, so it seems like we have a lot of questions online. I don't want to stop the fun though. I think it's good that, I like the interaction. The BOT members like the interaction as well, but conscious of time because we have a very good KSS program immediately after this. So Mark, I guess what we can do is let's take note of all the other questions and we can respond to them offline, I guess. Yeah.
Definitely. Yes, just send an email. Send your questions to membership@pmi.org.ph.
Yeah, or make and actually capture the questions in chat so that the Board of Trustees can respond to them accordingly.
That's right. I believe May has already captured. So before we proceed with the meeting, may we request all chapter members present today to please turn on your videos for the posterity photo/documentation.
Okay, strike your own pose.
Ikaw na mag-lead, May. Tell us if you're taking the shot.
Yes, Angel, do the honor for the
Okay, okay. Let's have us smile po. Wait. Okay, ready? Smile po. Okay, next. Isa pa po. One more smile.
All right, next
Last one.
tab. Okay. Ready,
Okay.
everyone?
So yeah, so we're done with the picture taking or documentation.
We're done. We're done. Thank
Done.
you, everyone.
Yes,
Please-
we're done.
Please remember to accomplish the survey form. May, how will you send the survey form? Okay. So back to you, Mr. President.
Okay, thanks a lot, Mr. Secretary. Are there other items on our agenda?
Mr. President, there are no other items in our agenda for today's meeting.
Okay, and given that there are no other remaining or more remaining items in our agenda, do I hear a motion for adjournment?
Mr. President, I am Romulo Lang and I move for the adjournment.
Mr. President, I'm Michelle Araneta and I second the motion.
Okay, well, thank you. It has been moved and seconded. This meeting is adjourned. So thank you, everyone, for attending the annual general membership meeting. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mr. President, and the rest of the members of the Board of Trustees. If you have other questions and concerns, we've talked about that earlier, you may contact our chapter secretariat, Ms. Mayor Rabida. And as our Mr. Corporate Secretary, said, kindly complete the feedback form, which I think May will display shortly. And
Bono. The feedback is in the chat. The feedback.
okay, thank you. So of course, other than the general meeting, we were going to do our first knowledge sharing session for the year, right? But given that we've been sitting talking for almost like an hour now, we will take a quick bio break for 5 minutes before we start on our knowledge sharing session. We'll see you in 5 minutes.
In a while.